When you think of the NBA in the 90s to the mid 2000s, aside from your favorite players, one of the first things that could come to mind might be how teams played, such as relying more on mid range jumpers and running offense out of the post. Though there's another key component from that era that's starting to reemerge an emphasis on offensive rebounding. I'm going to take a deeper dive into this and discuss why it started going away, what teams have been emphasizing it, and why there's a chance this trend could reemerge. Throughout the NBA's history, we've had some notable offensive rebounders of various shapes and sizes. The likes of Moses Malone, Dennis Rodman, Charles Barkley, and Shaquille O'Neal all rank among the top 10 all time in offensive rebounds per game. The one thing that has changed is offensive rebound percentage, which is the percentage of available offensive rebounds a team or player accumulates. For most of the 90s, the league per basketball reference had an offensive rebound percentage on a year to year basis that was higher than 30%. This made sense, given that the game was more condensed, slower paced, and every possession held more weight. When you get into the 2000s and early 2010s, the league-wide offensive rebound percentage was typically in the mid to high 20s, though starting in the middle of the 2010s, we saw this trend start to decline, and it wouldn't be uncommon to see many defensive rebounds a game go uncontested with no resistance from an offensive player. One major reason for this was the emergence of the Golden State Warriors under Steve Kerr. In Kerr's first year as the Warriors head coach, the team averaged almost 21 fast break points a game, and if you have three players crashing the offensive glass when the Warriors get the rebound, this could allow them to push the pace and potentially get a clean look from three for either Stephen Curry or Klay Thompson. Here's a chart of the NBA's offensive rebound percentage on a year to year basis since Kerr took over the Warriors. As you see, in his first year with the Warriors, the number was closer to what we saw in the years prior, with a figure in the mid 20s. Though we see from that point on, it starts declining before it starts to sit around the 22 to 23% range, and the number for the 2020-21 season is probably one of, if not the lowest in league history since the league has tracked offensive rebounding. Since then, that number has started climbing. This past season, we were back to around the percentage we started with nearly a decade ago. Now, if you want to see how drastic a change it's been in the last 5 seasons, just take a look at this. These are the top 10 teams for the 2021 regular season in offensive rebound percentage. The Pelicans are the only team above 30%, and you can see by the time we're at the bottom of the top 10, we've seen a drop off to just over 27%. For contrast, here's the top 14 teams this past year, and look at the difference. All of these teams had an offensive rebounding percentage of at least 30%. And the Rockets had a ridiculous figure just over 36%, and the top 12 teams listed here all exceeded or matched what was the league-leading mark just 5 years ago. So what led to this big change? While all sports can be copycat leagues where they emulate what made one team successful, I'm not sure there is one true answer here. One factor could be the rise in three-point attempts, which were at an all-time high this past regular season, as they accounted for 42% of all shots taken in games. Though with threes, this can create different types of rebound opportunities, whether an attempt is short, goes either left or right, or leads to long rebounds. Teams having smaller lineups can play into this as well. A great example of this would be the Minnesota Timberwolves in their first two playoff series against the Lakers and Warriors this past season. Both teams were smaller, and the Wolves punished them on the offensive glass, which played a key role in them winning both matchups. There are also teams who have philosophically embraced offensive rebounding. On many occasions, defenses are often out of sorts after offensive rebounds, so especially in this era with longer rebounds, it can lead to easier scoring opportunities from all levels of the floor. While it's harder to win a time of possession battle like in American football given the shot clock, offensive rebounding does give a team a better chance of controlling the tempo. So in basketball, as we see frequently in the playoffs, games can come down to things like offensive rebounding and limiting turnovers to prevent your opponent from getting more possessions. We have seen examples of this in recent memory. The Trailblazers this past season had a 30-game stretch where they went 19-11, had an offensive rebounding percentage just under 35, were among the league's best in second chance points with just under 18 a game, and while they struggled with turnovers, had the NBA's second best defensive rating in that span. Even with the turnover struggles, those other factors paired together typically lead to some success. The Memphis Grizzlies in the 2022 season, where they won 56 games, had a great blend of all these traits. They not only led the league in offensive rebound percentage and second chance points, but also turned the ball over at the 8th lowest rate in the league and had a potent offense to go with a team that ranked 6th in defensive rating. The Rockets, who were a surprise second seed in the West this past year, had the ridiculous offensive rebound rate that was discussed. They led the league in second chance points and had a top 5 defense, and they did a great job of making teams play at their pace this past season. Though the Rockets are a team that is going all in on offensive rebounding, and in smaller samples last season, we could see why. After missing the 2024 season due to injury, Steven Adams came off the bench for Houston, and while he played just under 14 minutes a game in the regular season, provided a massive boost thanks to skills like offensive rebounding. As teams around the league started incorporating more double-big lineups, the Rockets experimented with one featuring Adams and Alperen Sengun. On paper, this is a bit of an odd fit, as while Sengun can handle the ball and facilitate, neither player is a real threat to space the floor. Though in a limited sample, the two, when sharing the floor in the regular season, outscored opponents by nearly 30 points per 100 possessions and had an absurd offensive rebound rate that was over 50%. This offseason, the Rockets doubled down on the double big in offensive rebounding strategy. They added Clint Capela, who along with Adams ranks in the top 10 in NBA history in terms of offensive rebound percentage, along with Sengun, who is capable in this regard. This doesn't even account for the Rockets having wing-sized players like Thompson and Tari Eason, who are deadly on the offensive glass, and the team recently added another very good offensive rebounder in Josh Okogie. Despite punishing the Warriors on the glass in the playoffs last year, the Rockets ultimately lost in 7 games due to their struggles scoring. The addition of Kevin Durant will certainly help, though if the team around him could pack more of an offensive punch to complement what they can do defensively and on the glass, this will be a very fascinating team to watch. With all this said, are we entering a new era of offensive rebounding in the NBA? I think it's too early to tell, but I do think the rise we've seen in recent years is sustainable. As teams continue taking more threes, this should allow for more long rebound chances, and securing that offensive board on many occasions can lead to vulnerable defenses and advantages for an offense. Then if some teams go small, others will have the personnel to punish them on the glass. Of course, as we often see in the playoffs, we know how important it is to have more possessions than your opponent while controlling the tempo, and offensive rebounding plays a huge role here. Though the Rockets are the first team in recent memory that has seemed to put a large emphasis on this skill in their team building. While they covet the same skills and versatility every other team does, nobody else is emphasizing controlling the offensive glass to this extent. Though as I mentioned earlier, basketball and sports in general can be a copycat business, so if this pays off in a big way for the Rockets, there's a chance we might only be seeing the start of a new trend. If you made it this far, thank you, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date with my latest in-depth NBA analysis.